the Samsung card, users stay with iPhone, and AI escapes. This is MacVoices. MacVoices is supported by our new series, Foreshadowing Tech, about how media depictions have influenced real-world tech and perceptions. I wanted to bring this up to the top, and then we got off on a tangent. But 7 years after 7 years after Apple Card, Samsung leaps into fintech with its own credit card through Barclays. I can't wait to apply for a Samsung credit card.
Yeah.
Webb, you're shaking your fist, but you're muted.
I'm sorry. I always said that Apple, when they were looking for a new partner, was going to jump over to Barclays.
Well, they were
No,
with
they
Barclays
didn't.
at one point.
A long time ago.
Long time ago.
A long time ago. Yeah.
But
I had the
anyway,
card.
just
So Webb, are you saying that you think Barclays courted Samsung?
I think that they wanted to get in and they couldn't get in through the Apple side. So who knows? Who knows? So I was talking to a investment banker in New York, and that was my source on it. And I was almost sure that Barclays was going to get it because they offered the international audience, because Barclays is technically a London based. So I anyway, it's just speculation on my part, but I'll leave it at that.
Well, given that we don't know the terms of the credit card and all, but I'm trying to figure out why and I'm serious now, no Apple bias here. Okay. What would draw you to a Samsung credit card? That's what I thought.
Samsung ecosystem.
If you're a diehard Samsung purchaser, you get 5% cash back.
Okay. Brian?
Well, I think the Samsung credit card is actually comprised of 10 apps that you use with your phone, but one you only actually want to use. The rest are just bloatware apps.
That checks out.
Oh.
Yeah. So this may be the one and only time that gets mentioned, because I don't know. I have visions of this just disappearing into the mist, in a year or two, but maybe I'll be wrong.
Yeah, but with the Samsung app, you can personalize and tweak the color, the shape, the size, how often it comes out of your pocket. There's all sorts of things that you can do to personalize your Samsung card.
And then the next time they update the card, it'll screw up all of your layout.
Yeah.
But Samsung makes decent monitors, so it will look really good.
Yeah,
true.
It's really long and thin too. It's not standard credit card.
But it folds. Shape. The crease down the middle will really annoy you, but it folds.
Anybody else want to do this before we move on? Okay. The next one is just a feel-good piece. Google is making no progress on switching iPhone users to Android, according to Apple Insider. And I just had to include that. I couldn't help it. Mick Jagger.
Chuck, I think the word you were looking for was Schadenfreude.
Well, okay. Yeah. I mean, it's. I keep saying it over and over, but I don't remember ever hearing anybody that I know move from iPhone over to Android. I hear plenty of people coming our direction. I just don't hear anybody moving the other direction. Now, that's strictly anecdotal, but it's true.
I do know a couple people that did. And they didn't understand the technology they were using anyhow. And all they saw was, I can get this new phone for cheaper.
Free phone with their provider.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it had nothing to do with brand loyalty on any level.
Yeah. Brian, you say you have family members who have made that move?
Yeah, they've gone back and forth between Apple and Android.
So the first question is, did you disown them? And the second question is, why?
No, I don't think a divorce attorney would do me well on that.
Oh,
Ouch.
It's his better half.
Yeah, the phone calls coming from inside the house is what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
It's a green bubble world out there.
well, seriously, is it just a matter of, I just want a cheap phone, and there's no, and I'm not asking you to out your wife,
Yeah.
Brian, but
Too late.
I mean, if it's just a matter of having a phone and a few things, but if you're using it for anything at all, I would think that whichever direction you're moving, you have to recognize the hassles associated with it.
Yeah, it's a few factors. It's not necessarily even the cheapest phone. They love the Pixel, and if you're going to go Android, I mean, I suppose the cleanest of the Androids, but not the bloatware apps of Samsung.
Yeah.
But no, they just like the way that it operates, and they don't use the phone to a heavy extent where they're going to notice a ton of differences. But the differences they do notice, they prefer.
Interesting. Marty, I know you don't go back and forth, but you also do have Android phones. Is there anything in particular that you think is desirable for the non-tech or non-Apple people? Maybe I won't even say non-tech, but just non-Apple people.
It's hard for me to think outside of the Apple box when I do it. I'm usually when I'm on an Android phone, it's because I'm playing around with a different kind of phone. I currently have and I know Dave has one too, a Pixel 10. Really nice photos. I was interested in that. I had a Pixel Fold, but I could not take my whole productivity lifestyle and shift it over to the apps that were available within that ecosystem. I couldn't, and it was like cutting off all of my friends in a sense, because I found it difficult to be able to message back and forth and do all that. And so I occasionally flirt with that idea. And I think the Pixel 10 is an example of that. But there's nothing about the interface. I'm certainly not going to spend a lot of time trying to figure out colors, shapes, sizes, moving things around, and stuff like that on an ecosystem that I find really difficult to connect with the rest of my world and the rest of my productivity. So that adds a challenge to it for me. So I can't tell you things that work better for me because none of them did.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Because everything you just said is the way I view it. And some people call that the walled gardens. Some people say that I'm locked in. If I am, I'm happy being locked in the walled garden. So, Mick Jagger says AI is fine for musicians as long as it does not sound like him.
It sounds like
Okay.
Jagger.
And AI's response to that was, thank God we don't sound like Mick Jagger.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess in the article it goes into a little more depth than just the cute headline, but I don't think Mick has a problem with using AI. It's just that it shouldn't be doing all of it. And I think back when drum machines started. Now they weren't AI, I get that, but they were still automated, and a lot of bands experimented with them, and some stuck with them, and a lot gave in. So I think now it's a matter of just figuring out where AI fits in the music world. But there was, I heard, I can't remember now, there was a podcast talking about some band that is apparently all AI, completely AI. They've released multiple albums. They have a following on Spotify. Does anybody know about this?
It makes me sad.
Well, Jeff, is that any worse than Muzak?
Yeah, actually, as crazy
that's
as that
gone.
sounds. Yeah. With
Okay.
music, you have actual musicians. Now, granted, the musicians that are playing the music, they're doing it for the money and their souls are being sucked out of them in the process. But it's actual musicians getting paid to perform.
Okay, but by that definition, AI is now saving those musicians from having their souls sucked out.
And it's also taken the money that they would be getting paid to I mean, they're not playing just music. These are studio musicians, so they're doing all kinds of music.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm going to stop because I don't want to give you edits.
I really appreciate that. Thank you, Jeff.
I'm thinking of you, Chuck.
Yeah, we got several AI related stories here in a row, but researchers escaped 4 top AI coding agents sandboxes without ever breaking them. I thought this was fascinating that apparently they were able to get out. They didn't break the sandbox. They just crawled out and did things. So it's an article worth reading. But and Marty, this one and a couple of the others, Marty and Jeff, I had visions of our episode of Foreshadowing Tech with Colossus, the Vorban project. Some of these sounded like they were right off the script.
Mm-hmm.
So, this next one is one of those. An AI just broke an 87-year-old math problem in a tweet sent during the World Cup final. Now, I'm not enough of a mathematician. Brian, I know you're not necessarily a mathematician, but you're probably a lot more versed in this than maybe anybody here, unless somebody has a hidden math background I don't know about. But this was something that apparently couldn't be solved, and it solved it.
Yeah, when you think about all the computations that are occurring, and what it's able to do and what it's able to specialize in, you direct enough of those resources in that one direction, I think you're going to see more of this type of thing. I mean, you think about the good that could be used for it too.
Oh, yeah. I don't think this is necessarily good or bad. It just is. But I agree with you. Okay, there are a couple here that just, as usual, they trigger me a little bit. The EU orders Google to give rival AI apps the same Android access as Gemini. Eric, you just shook your head. Are you thinking the same thing I am?
Well, yeah, they're consistent.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
it.
have anything nice to say about it other than they're consistent. And I kind of wish that Google had the same response Apple did and simply said, fine, search is gone from the EU. Good luck. But they didn't.
See, you and I both, I agree. You and I both want to be punitive and push back against this. I don't know if we're just tilting at windmills or not, but it seems like the EU is trying to push everybody around. And I'm just not sure they should, because I'm not sure they have enough power to do so, but who knows?
Would you say they're interfering, and Webb would know this better than me, are they interfering with commerce or free commerce, free trade, by the restrictions they're placing or their asks that they have?
Well, yeah.
I'm still on music. By the way, it was shut down in 2013. So,
not soon enough.
So, so I'm sorry, Marty. What was your question?
Well, is this obstacle to kind of free trade or free commerce with the EU restrictions that they're placing on Apple and on Google, that they're kind of interfering with businesses that way.
I don't know. I don't want to stick my nose in something that I don't understand. So, Norbert, help me, please.
Well,
Stick his nose in it.
Yeah, put my nose in there too. What I found interesting is how Google and Apple took various approaches to it, where Apple was like, is this okay if we do this? And the way that, if I read the article correctly, Google basically just put it on there and said, all right, what are you going to do about it? Mm-hmm. And they have until August of 2027 to do something about it. So Google basically said, we'd rather beg for forgiveness and ask for permission. And Apple did the opposite way. Either way, I don't think that this is a good thing for the consumer at the end of the day. It really is not. And unfortunately, what is going to happen to the people in the EU is they're not going to get some of these products or some of the iterations. It's probably
and Google will solve the problem the way they always solve the problem. In July of 2027, they'll discontinue the product.
I laugh only because, yep.
But they were going to do that anyway, so it's not a problem.
That was part of the planning.
Yeah, you find a model that works for you.
But Norbert, you're right. I mean, I feel like they're pushing the idea of equality of access to some of these things to the detriment of the customer, not to the advantage of the customer. And I'm sure their argument would be, well, but yeah, if you give everybody access, then we have more people able to offer more and varied services. But you're also discouraging these companies who have the assets and the resources from innovating. Because why are they going to bother to invest in it if they can't use that as a competitive advantage? I don't know. That's a rhetorical on my part, but I'm just missing the logic.
Chuck, part of the problem for us is that we're in the United States, and we have a very U.S. centric view on how companies should be regulated, and that's totally fine. In the EU, I think that just generally speaking, there's a different philosophy about how businesses should be regulated, and I think that, and I'm making so many blanket statements here. I think that that in general, EU citizens are more likely to look at EU moves like this and think, yeah, that makes sense. And I'll be able to have more choices. And will that actually work out that way? Probably not. I mean, they've already lost choices from Apple. And the whole idea about innovation stalling, I look at the USB-C mandate in the EU and how that has propagated out. And as soon as that happened, my perspective was, and that's the end of innovation in physical port technology. And I've talked with a few people in the EU who said, no, it's not like that. Any company can come up with something that's better. And then when the EU approves it, then everyone changes. And I mean, okay, yes, there's some logic in that, but also I don't think that's going to happen because there's no incentive for a company to invest the money in creating something better on a gamble that the EU would say, okay, now let's make everyone change. So, yeah, I think, as Norbert said, this is not going to work out as well as the EU thinks. And they'll probably be very surprised when it doesn't.
Jeff, when you were giving that example, I'm sitting here for no good reason thinking about the first set of lyrics to Rush's 2112. It's just, somebody else will take care of it and make our decisions for us.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing. I mean, but also I was thinking, Jeff, a point you made, I think it was last week, maybe a week before, that the U.S. There's been a great deal of rejection of the flock cameras,
Mm-hmm.
but yet in Europe, there are cameras everywhere, and everybody seems to be basically okay with it.
Well, there's cameras everywhere here too. The big difference is the perception of the way flock cameras are used in the United States.
Well, and their cameras are here everywhere here too, but they aren't as. My perception is they're not recognized as being quite as available to governmental entities as they are in the UK or in Europe. Better.
Yeah, and that's why there's so many people that are very vocally against flock cameras in the United States.
Right. Eric?
Yes, the EU keeps making decisions that are supposed to be looking out for the consumers. And I'm not entirely sure that that's what's actually happening. That might have been a goal at some point, but whether it's the policymakers not understanding the technology well enough or making assumptions that don't match reality, the end result seems to be almost the opposite. I think there's some protectionist bits for companies in the EU as well, and maybe that's influencing it. But they're not creating a situation where you could innovate your way through it and come up with something better. It ends up just restricting it to the point that everyone kind of gives up or ignores the solution. So something will have to change. I don't think this is going to last more than a couple of years, and then all of a sudden there's going to be completely new regulations in a completely new direction, and fun will be had by all.
Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.